look around at your life and you feel like hopeless. You feel like this is not it. I felt like everything in my life was wrong. You feel lost, you don't know what you're doing, and you make yourself miserable. Just because you're not there yet doesn't mean you are lost. You deserve to feel happy right now, right where you're at, even if you don't know what you're doing. Uncertain does not equal unhappy. Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacqueline, and here on my channel I share my whole journey of creating my dream life. I share a little bit of everything. I share recipes, DIYs, life lessons, and life advice, chats just like this, gardening, a little bit of everything. So if you're interested in following along on my journey as I figure my life out, I would love to have you here and we can grow together. In today's video, I wanted to talk about how to stop feeling lost in life, or maybe I should call it advice for when you're feeling lost in life. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for, no exaggeration, years, and I just didn't quite know how to express what I wanted to say, and I still don't feel like I am going to cover every single thing in this video. I could ramble on about this forever. I'm really passionate about this topic because I'm going through it right now. I've kind of been through it for the last few years after I graduated college. I've been feeling lost. I feel better now, and I'm at a place where I'm able to get myself out of those really negative spirals, but I know what it feels like to feel lost, and I never want to come across as unaware or ungrateful. I know that I live a very fortunate and privileged life. I have a good job. I recently purchased a house with my boyfriend. I'm in a loving, safe relationship. My family, my siblings, they're all alive and healthy. I'm in good health. And I know that I would be privileged in this life, in this world, to have even one of the things that I listed. And so I just first of all want to acknowledge that this is in no way me saying that I'm unhappy with my life or I'm ungrateful for what I have and that I don't recognize that. It's just that I feel like it's important for me to talk about because I think there are other people who can relate to feeling like your life looks so good and possibly even perfect on paper, yet you feel lost. You feel like, I should be happy, I should be content, I should be grateful, but why do I feel so empty? Why do I feel lost? Why do I feel like I'm just in the wrong place? So I wanted to start off by saying I know what that feels like, and for me the last few years I felt lost in almost every area of my life. I felt like everything in my life was wrong, and this probably has some depression, self-loathing baked into it, but I really felt like everything from my career, my relationships, like my friendships, who I was as a partner, as a girlfriend, gosh, everything, my mental, my physical health. I even hated, I felt like the way I looked was wrong. I didn't like my facial features, my body, my skin, my hair, everything felt wrong. And most of all, I felt like I was just dissatisfied as far as having a purpose and a meaning in my life. That's where I felt really lost. And so for the purposes of today's video, I'm mostly going to be focusing on that. When you feel lost in the sense that you don't really have a clear purpose or a meaning in your life. So I have a lot of notes here. If I look down, it's because I'm referencing my notes, trying to read my chicken scratch. So yeah, let's just get into it. First of all, what is it like to feel lost? What do I mean by feeling lost? When you feel lost, the problem is kind of twofold, right? It's number one, your circumstances. Maybe you're not at the right career, or you don't feel like you're at the right job. Maybe you feel like you're not in the right relationship, or you don't have the best friendships, whatever it is. You don't have the best fitness, the best health. And then the second part is what your circumstances mean to you. How do you feel about that? For those of us who feel lost, yes, your circumstances play a big part, but a lot of it is also your beliefs and your negative and your limiting beliefs about what your circumstances say about you as a person and what you believe your circumstances to mean. For me, a lot of the negative beliefs that I had about myself when I was feeling lost, and I still do feel lost, let me just be clear, were things like, there is a right place for me to be in life, and this isn't it. I'm not living up to my standards or my purpose. I'm running out of time. I'm wasting my life away. And I have a list of so many more, but you get the idea, right? Basically, it's that you don't like where you're at. You look around at your life and you feel like hopeless. You feel like this is not it. This is not where I'm meant to be. I don't know what to do. It's overwhelming when you try to think about trying to change your circumstances, because if you're like me and you feel like everything in your life is wrong, or you felt like everything in your life was wrong and needed to be fixed, it can be overwhelming because now you feel like you need to overhaul and change up your whole life. Where do you even start? And then you start to feel guilty and angry at yourself for not taking action, for not changing. And it's just this horrible cycle, and it can be hard to get out of. So the tips I want to share with you today are mostly mindset shifts, because I believe that a huge part of feeling lost is that feeling. I believe that your circumstances don't really need to change necessarily for you to stop feeling lost. And I'll kind of get into that in a little bit, but I'm mostly going to focus on mindset shifts, but I do also have practical tips. So let's get into it. Okay, my first one is I am exactly where I need to be. And I know this can be such an annoying phrase to hear, and it can feel kind of like you're delusional and you're trying to convince yourself that you are exactly where you need to be. But I think that this is an important place to start. If you are somebody who's feeling lost in life, I would venture to say that you are somebody who cares about your life, you care about your future, you want better for yourself. It's not necessarily bad to feel lost. Feeling lost means that you are self-aware enough to look around and say, this isn't aligned with me, this isn't what I want. So it's okay, it's normal. But the problem is when you tell yourself like, okay, this isn't where I meant to be, and then that's it. You're just angry, you're just upset. And you're just like fighting against yourself, fighting against your current reality. Like, this isn't it, this isn't how I'm supposed to look, how I'm supposed to feel, I'm in the wrong job. Like, okay, that's step one. You're at point A. And that's important. You need to recognize that you are at point A before you can get to point B, right? So that's step one. But I really want to help you shift your mindset and to truly believe that you are exactly where you need to be. Obviously, if you are in an unsafe situation, like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just saying like, this is where I am. I can accept where I am, and maybe where I am is exactly where I need to be in order to get to the next step, because it really is. I mean, you're here. You're not getting there unless you start here. You have to start here. You're always here and now. So the sooner that you can accept yourself and tell yourself, I'm exactly where I need to be, this is it, what am I going to do about it, the sooner that you can change and make things better for yourself. You might believe that you are meant to be doing something very specific in your life, and because you're not doing that specific thing, that means that you are lost. But that's not necessarily true. The way I kind of see things, and this might be a terrible analogy, but I think of like a treasure hunt, like a treasure map, or maybe a path made of stones from one side of a garden to another. Let's say the treasure on the treasure map is your idea, your vision for where you should be. Bear with me. If you are walking along that path, making your way to the other side of the garden, making your way to the treasure, you're on the path. Does that mean you're lost just because you're not there yet? No, right? You're just not there yet. Just because you're not there yet doesn't mean you are lost. And life is not a treasure hunt. You are not striving and running to get to the end and then, woohoo, yay, you win. That's not life. If you live your life that way, you are missing out on the here and now. You're missing out on the journey. And I know it's so cliche, but it really is about the journey. Okay, my practical tip for this, for trying to get yourself to believe that you are exactly where you need to be, is to have an anchor. This could be a person, a place, an event. Sorry, that's my cat. Okay, sorry, I lost my train of thought. We were talking about anchors. So an anchor is basically just someone that you can hold onto in your mind that reminds you that everything is exactly as it should be, and that things have worked out for you before, and they're going to work out for you in the future. Things have worked out for you even when you didn't realize they were working out for you. Things were working out for you when you felt like you were at your lowest. For me, this is such a great alternative to like a gratitude journal. I'm the type of person who I really need just one quality thing that I can hang on to. And for me, it's my cat, Kit Kat. So let me tell you a little story, and this is why Kit Kat is my anchor. So a few years ago when I first moved to this city, I just graduated college. I was really unhappy. I was working at a job that I didn't like. It was my first job out of college. One thing about this job is that they had relationships with some of the apartment complexes in the area where employees could get special offers or discounts, whatever, on leases. So we were living at one of those apartments. We had gotten a special offer. We were living up on the third floor. It was like a really tall apartment building. And one night we hear our neighbors fighting and yelling. We hear a door slam. We hear a cat crying. We're like not sure what's going on. It's really late at night. The next morning we hear a cat still crying outside. And we open up the door and there's Kit Kat. And as soon as we cracked open the door, he ran in. And that's basically how he found us. We are pretty sure that our neighbors next door moved and couldn't take him, so they just abandoned him. Anyway, that's how we found Kit Kat. And at the time, I was hating life. I hated the job that I was at. I was so depressed. I would come home every day crying. I felt lost, even more lost than I do now. It was just not a good time. And I was feeling like, what did I do with my life? Like, why did I even go to college? Like, I'm in debt. I went to college for something I don't even really care about, working at a job I don't want to be at, and then I found Kit Kat. The point of the story is that if I hadn't been working at this job that I didn't like, at a company I didn't like, that happened to have a relationship with this particular apartment complex, if we hadn't moved into the apartment at the time that we did, next to these neighbors who happened to have a cat that they were going to abandon because they happened to be moving right after we moved in, I wouldn't have my cat. And I feel like we all need reminders like that, or need to remind ourselves of that. You can use anchors like that to remind you that the universe, God, whatever you believe in, has your back. And even when you can't see that things are in the works, things are working out for you. And just to believe that even in your lowest time, there is something in the works for you. There's something positive right on the horizon, and you are exactly where you need to be. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that when you feel lost, try to think of those anchors. Try to think of your Kit Kat, whatever that is for you. And you can use little anchors to remember that your life, your path, your timeline is unique. And you wouldn't have some of those anchor things if it weren't for the timing of your life. So just trust that. My second point is that you're never going to think your way to clarity. I'm somebody who is big on meditation, self-reflection, journaling, all those kinds of things. I think that when you're feeling lost in life, you can fall into the trap of like, okay, I just need to clean my house, do some stretches, sit down in peace and quiet, do some reflecting, and I'll be enlightened. Something's gonna hit me. I'm gonna figure it out. While I do think that meditation, journaling, self-reflection are necessary and important tools for figuring out what you want to do with your life and getting yourself unstuck, I want to caution you to not fall into the trap of using those tools as ways to procrastinate. I'm definitely somebody who does this. I focus so much on like, I need to have the perfect plan. Let me just sit here and think about it. But I've been doing that for the last few years, and let me tell you, it's gotten me nowhere. Have you ever heard the quote, action begets inspiration, not the other way around? So sometimes we're sitting here thinking and thinking that inspiration is just going to strike us, an idea is just going to hit us. And sometimes that is the case, but you're not doing yourself any favors by not taking action and just kind of sitting and waiting and thinking. The best thing that you can do for yourself when you're feeling lost is to get out of that rumination, stop thinking and thinking so much, and just do something. So something that I really pride myself on and I try to focus on these days is taking the smallest step forward that I can each day or in each moment. What did I write here? Oh yes, so measuring success by progress and your ability to take action. Measuring success based on your input and not really your output, because the output's not really in your control anyway. Everybody's first small step is different, but the important thing is that you do just keep moving forward. Whether it is you just get up and you take a walk, or maybe you are going to get up and you're going to research courses on, I don't know, blogging or writing, if that's what you want to do. Maybe you are just going to say, my action for today is just to look at job postings if you're trying to make a career change. You know, whatever it is. I think that most of us know what we could be doing to get ourselves a little bit further, but we overthink and we try to overplan. And if you're like me, you try to create like a 5-10 year plan before you feel comfortable taking action. The real growth happens when you can take an action, even if it doesn't work out or it's not what you want to do, you learn from it. And from there, you pivot or you keep going forward and you take the next small step. And that's all growth is. That's what progress is. And that's what's going to get you unstuck. My next point is changing your perspective on purpose. This is something that I talked about in one of my blog posts about 25 things that I've learned in my 25 years of life. And it is that you could and probably will have more than one purpose throughout your life. Also, you don't need to think of purpose as being related to your career and work. I think that in today's society, we have come to associate purpose and career almost synonymously. Am I saying that right? Usually when somebody says purpose, we often think work. What are you doing to make money? What are you doing to change the world? And I just want to offer you a few thoughts to maybe help you change your perspective on purpose. Number one is that you can and will probably have more than one purpose throughout your life. Your purpose doesn't have to be to change the world. It doesn't have to be this grand thing. You might have a purpose that is right now to simply enjoy life, to simply be happy, to be healthy, take care of yourself. That can be a purpose. Sometimes when we feel lost in life, it comes from this feeling that I'm not fulfilling my purpose. You have this idea of what your grand purpose is in life, and you are just not fulfilling it. And it makes you feel like, I'm lost. If I'm not fulfilling that purpose, I'm doing something wrong. I'm lost. Like, how do I get there? I'm not on the right path. How do I align back with that big purpose? I think it's okay. It's great to have a big overarching purpose for your life, or maybe you can think of it as your 10-year purpose. But I also think that it can be harmful to basically be fighting against where you're at right now in search of, in the hopes of fulfilling that big 10-year purpose. I want you to realize that you have a purpose right here and right now. You are not lost just because you aren't fulfilling your big umbrella purpose. And okay, let me get into my little umbrella analogy. I have a lot of these like weird analogies, okay, but they help me. And this is a terrible analogy, another one, but think of your purposes in life as umbrellas. Let's say you have a huge purpose, and then again, I'm talking about purpose in terms of career, and it doesn't have to be this, but if you're somebody who's struggling with this, like finding meaning in your work and your life, and career is important to you, this is a good example. So let's say that your big umbrella purpose is you want to become the founder or a leader of a big company. You want to be a CEO. That's great. That's your big umbrella purpose. And you're probably not going to fulfill that purpose for, 5 to 10 years. Let's just say that. Does that mean that right now you are lost? You are purposeless? Just because you are not fulfilling that purpose, just because you're not a CEO, you're not a business owner right now, does that mean you're purposeless? Does that mean that you're lost? I would say no. Let's look at how we can have multiple purposes, or we can have layered purposes. So under that big umbrella, there is maybe a smaller umbrella, and maybe that could be you own a small business, and maybe that takes you 5 years to fulfill. Okay, under that umbrella, there's a smaller umbrella, and maybe that smaller umbrella purpose is where you're at right now. Maybe you are working at a corporate job. It's not what you want to do. You want to be a business owner, and you feel like you're lost in life because you're not doing that. But what if your purpose right now is simply to save up money? What if your purpose right now is to learn everything that you can at this current job so that it helps you in your next role, in your next umbrella purpose? Maybe your goal right now, or your purpose right now, is simply to enjoy life, to get your health back on track, to get your mental and physical health back on track, so that when you are ready to move on and work on and fulfill these bigger purposes, you have a strong foundation for that. Sorry if this is a terrible explanation, but I'm trying to get you to see that you have a purpose right now, and maybe a shift in the way that you think about purpose and what you are expecting of yourself can change how you're feeling and maybe help you feel a little bit less lost. In conclusion, make your purpose fit where you are at right now, instead of trying to fight against where you're at to fulfill this larger purpose that's making you feel like you're not where you should be, or you're not doing what you should be doing. You have control over what you think your purpose in life is right now. And you can build yourself up, or you can make yourself miserable by thinking that, well, by number one, choosing what your purpose is, and then two, thinking about your progress or where you're at in life in relation to that purpose. Pick a purpose that fits where you're at right now. I'm not measuring myself today against this huge expectation. Okay, so here's my example. I have a vision for the future, right? I have this idea of what I would like to do. I want to help people. I want to do something involving food and gardening. Let's just say helping people through sustainability and food and cooking is what I see as one of my bigger umbrella purposes. And I used to feel like because I wasn't fulfilling that right now, I was a failure, that I was lost, I was in the wrong place. But really, what I had to do was shift my perspective to see that I do have a purpose right now that falls under that big umbrella purpose of helping people through cooking, gardening, sustainability. And what I'm doing right now does have a purpose, and it's going to lead to that. So right now, my purpose in life is simply to try things and to have a good day. By squeezing or like shifting my purpose down to fit my current life, to meet me where I'm at, instead of trying to measure myself up against this huge purpose, this huge goal, really helped me to feel more fulfilled and feel better about where I'm at in life, and to see that this is all part of the path. By me fulfilling my smaller umbrella purposes right here and now, that's going to lead me to being able to fulfill the next umbrella purpose and the next one and the next one, and eventually get to my big one. And it made me see that I'm not in the wrong place. I'm not lost. All of this is part of the journey, part of the path. But I'm never going to be happy, and I'm never going to stop feeling lost unless I stop trying to measure myself today against this purpose that I believe that I have for my life, something that I don't think would be fulfilled for another maybe 5 to 10 years, right? I feel like I've rambled enough about this topic as well. The next point that I have is to release control. This can be a really hard one. I think that when you are feeling lost in life, we tend to feel like everything is in our control, and if I could just figure it out, if I could just figure out what my thing is, if I could just try the right course, find the right career, if I could just take all these actions, make the right plan, then my life would be good and I wouldn't feel lost anymore. And while I do think that it's important to have goals, to take control of your life, and to feel like you are doing everything in your power to get yourself to where you want to be in life, I don't think that it's all in our control. It was never all in our control to begin with. We are all individuals here on this earth, co-creating our realities. And the actions that other people take do have an effect on us. An example of this might be that maybe what you're meant to do, your dream career, maybe it doesn't exist yet. Maybe somebody out there is also working on their life, and they're going to invent something or found a company that's going to create what does become your dream career, or something that plays into your life's goals, and that hasn't been created yet. And it's not up to you to create that. It's up to you to just keep going and trying things and believe that you'll eventually find that, and that things will work out for you. I just want to encourage you to release a little bit of that control. It was never all 100% in your control anyway, and if you can get yourself to mentally realize that and agree with it and believe it and say, okay, I can release a little bit of control. I can do what's in my control, what's in my power today to have a good day, to take a small action toward my goal. I can work on my mental and my physical health today. That's in my power. That's what I can do, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to be open to life's surprises, because sometimes things that happen in life, I would say rarely go to plan. You can have your whole life planned out, and life just happens. And to think that you would be able, or you are able to control every single aspect of your life is just foolish, and it's going to set yourself up for disappointment, and you're going to keep feeling lost if you feel like you are the one authoring all of this. Take a step back, focus on what is in your control, take those small actions every day, and just be open to what life has to show you. Be receptive, be able to pivot when life throws things at you. Learn to take it and, change your plan a little bit. You can't control the wind, but you can control your sails, right? I think it's all about just focusing on what feels good and what feels right today in this moment. Take that action, take the next step, follow the breadcrumbs, and as life happens around you, to you, pivot as you need to and just keep going. My last point is about expectations, black and white thinking, and just allowing yourself to be happy. I think a root cause of why we feel lost is that we feel like we are in the wrong place. Like I mentioned before, there's somewhere that I'm meant to be, something that I'm meant to be doing. I'm not doing it, so I must be in the wrong place, and therefore I feel lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to get out of this. There's a lot of uncertainty. That's basically the core of it, right? I want to talk about something that Tony Robbins talks about, which is that our experience in life is determined by two things. One, an event or a circumstance. This is kind of what I talked about at the very beginning of my video. And two, the meaning that we assign to that event. Two people can experience the same event, but assign different meanings to that event and have a completely different, even total opposite experience in life. Something that I want to really point out to you is that uncertainty or being uncertain does not equal unhappy. Uncertain does not equal unhappy, okay? Another negative belief that I had about this was that I felt like I wasn't allowed to be happy. I wasn't allowed to celebrate until I made it. I wasn't allowed to enjoy life until I made it. I had to put my head down and focus and come on, just get it. Get it together, figure it out, change your life, stop feeling lost, figure it the bug out, right? And eventually I just got so tired of feeling like that. I got so tired of making myself miserable. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional because I did this for so long. I made myself so miserable at work. I'm sure I made people around me miserable because I wasn't happy, because I felt uncertain about what I was doing with my life. And I feel like this was something that I really needed to hear. Just because you feel lost doesn't mean you have to be unhappy. It's okay to feel lost. Feeling lost is a good sign. It's just that you don't want to stay there, but it's okay. Something that I learned in therapy was that I have a tendency toward black and white thinking. I think a lot of us do. And that was my black and white thinking at play. I can be uncertain about what's happening in life, and I can still enjoy life. I can be not sure about what I'm doing in my career, and I can still choose to have a good day today. That was mind-blowing for me, okay? And I know that sounds really silly, but I think that at the core of it, this is really the problem with us feeling lost. There, I'm sure, are people out there who feel lost, and it's okay. It's a bliss for them. They're just going about their day, figuring things out as they go. And that's kind of where I'm at / trying to be at right now. That it is what it is. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out step by step every day. The alternative is that you feel lost, you don't know what you're doing, and you make yourself miserable. You make yourself suffer because you can't figure it out, and you're hard on yourself. And that is just not a fun place to be. Trust me, I have been there. I have been there for the last few years. It is not fun. You don't deserve that. You deserve to feel happy right now, right where you're at, even if you don't know what you're doing. And I think that maybe you would feel a little bit less lost if you were just kinder to yourself, or maybe you'd be okay with feeling lost, and it wouldn't be this pressure that just weighs and weighs down on you. You could say, could you accept that maybe you're just in a discovery phase of your life? Could you change your perspective and your purpose to say, my purpose right now is simply to try things. That's all. I'm taking that pressure off of myself to have it all figured out and to get to my peak of human beingness and the peak of who I am. You don't have to have it all figured out. You can still enjoy life while you're figuring things out. I think this is the biggest point that I really want to encourage you on, because I don't think that feeling lost in life is ever going to be fully snuffed out. I think you're going to continue to feel lost in life. Not always, there are going to be times where you feel aligned and you're like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you continue down that path for a few years, and then you might realize, this isn't really what I want anymore. I'm not sure what I want next or what that next step is for me. And instead of reverting back to feeling terrible and feeling lost, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. This is terrible. I'm wasting my life away. I think that when you're feeling lost, a lot of times what you need is just some time, some patience, some compassion for yourself, to be kinder to yourself. Can you practice being kinder to yourself and saying, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I still deserve to have a good day. I have faith that I'm going to figure it out one day, and I'm taking the necessary steps, no matter how small they are, each day to get a little bit closer to figuring that out. And that's all I can do. And in the meantime, I'm not going to make myself miserable. I'm not going to suffer. And I think that's been the biggest thing for me. And yeah, I feel like I've rambled on about this subject for a very long time. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much for listening. I really just want to encourage you. I know what it's like to feel lost. I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm still working my 9-to-5 corporate job. It's not where I want to be ultimately, but I'm working on it. I'm working on figuring out what I want to do. I love creating content. I love talking about subjects like this, and I'm getting there. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna make myself my matcha latte, gonna listen to good music. I'm gonna do everything in my power to get a little closer to my dreams every day, and I'm happy with that. And I really just want to encourage you and let you know that you're on the right path. It's okay to feel lost. It's totally normal to be unsure of what you're doing, and everybody feels like that at some point. We're all living this life for the first time. We're all experiencing today, July 15th, 2023, for the first time. We're all just figuring it out as we go. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to feel like you don't know what you're doing, but I want to be the one who hypes you up and encourages you to just don't give up. That's the only way that you fail or won't figure it out, is if you stop. Keep going forward, keep trying new things, and you will get there eventually. You will figure things out, and it's going to be really beautiful when you do. You're going to be able to look back and tell the story of how you didn't understand why you were at this job, or why this was happening, or why this was happening, but hindsight is 20/20, and you can see now, well, in the future, why everything happened the way it did, why everything worked out the way that it did. Something that I always tell myself, or I try to think about, is to have the faith in myself now that my 80-year-old self would have. When you are 80 years old, let's say you've accomplished all your dreams, you've done what you wanted to do, and you're looking back at your life, and you finally understand why things happened the way that they did, you hopefully will feel content, and you'll feel fulfilled, and you'll be like, everything was okay. I know that I'm going to get to that point in my life, or I really, really hope that I will, and I try to have that feeling that my 80-year-old self will have in the future about life. I try to have that now. It's okay. One day I'm going to look back and I'm going to understand, but for now, I'm going to enjoy my life, and I'm just going to keep moving forward. Okay, thank you guys so much for sticking with my ramble. I hope that this could help you. If you want to see more life lessons and chats and talks like this, let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about next. Be sure to join me here so that you don't miss any more videos. I'd love to have you learn and grow alongside me, and have you watch me figure out what the heck I'm doing with my life. I appreciate you if you've made it this far into the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.